exciting conversation. I have Navneet here from IndiaVenturePartners. He's a managing partner there, one of the founders of the entity.
Yes.
And Navneet made his pile in the US, selling companies. He has had 3 exits, multi-million-dollar exits, of course, and he has decided to invest his own pile into venture capital in India, which is I think fantastic. Obviously, he's come back to India as well. So, without further ado, Navneet, do you want to just talk about your business and what you do there?
Sure. So I moved to India a couple of years ago to run this venture capital fund called IndiaVenturePartners, which me and my partner from a previous business that we had together started, mostly with our own money and some friends and family that we had made money for in the past, and decided to come to India because we wanted to kind of see what was going on in India and had done some business previously in India and wanted to invest in early stage companies in India and early stage guys doing some good innovative stuff, and that's kind of our story. That's kind of our business. Right now we're looking at all kinds of early stage deals where there is something interesting that people are building, whether in software, technology, biotech, any of these areas.
Brilliant. How many companies have you already invested in?
We've invested in about 6 companies so far.
Any exits so far?
No exits. It's been only a year and a half or so. 2 years ago moved here. A year. We made our first investment in summer of 2010, so a year and a half. So it's still work in progress.
And what kind of companies are you investing in?
We're making investments in all kinds of early stage stuff. We started off doing services businesses, but we're now moving more towards technology. Anything that can scale without too many people is something that we've learned here. We came in India thinking that India's biggest strength was its people, and you had to invest a lot where there was a lot of people cheap available. But then we realized, just like everywhere else in the world, talent is very hard to find, and so now we've kind of shifted more towards where a couple of guys or 10 guys or 20 guys can build a multi-million-dollar company. So now we're kind of in that direction, but we still have investments in services companies.
Very interesting. So you think that the non-linear revenue, or so-called non-linear revenue, where people are not the dependent, that's still the area to go in India?
Yeah, I think so, because if you look at it, what is India known for world over is the smart, brilliant programmers, technicians, chemists, whatever you want to call it, right? That's what it's known for. And when we came in, we just kind of put that whole idea aside and said, let's go into services, products and services that are to be used by this new Indian middle market. Now, while that works great for Cafe Coffee Day and some of these other things that you can scale with, but as a small fund guy like me with small pockets, not very deep pockets, and limited service experience in India, we realized pretty quickly that scaling a business to 500, 700 people in India is not as easy as it might sound initially. That it is really hard to find those 500 people and manage them and scale the business that way. So we went back to sort of our technology roots, which is where we came from, software and that kind of stuff, because we can recognize when good software is being built and what sort of a market there is for that, and how just a few guys can make a big difference.
Very cool, very cool. And just a quick check. Obviously, you've been in the US, you've been in India. So, what do you think is the future for India in this space? I mean, bright, rollicking, fantastically, but get specific if you have any specific
so I think that India, the potential is huge. The potential is there because you have a lot of guys getting trained through the school system in good math and good science, and but what's missing is sort of the key thing that exists in the US, which is the social trust, the governance. Some of those key things are very important. If you look at just all the deals going on in India, there's probably like 300, 400 deals at that early stage. For a company of billion people plus, I mean, that's nothing, right? I had more deals just in a smaller section of East Coast of US, right? So it's just the size of and the maturity of ecosystems that's important. But what guys need to realize here at an early stage is they need to understand what it means to take investor money. And I think just across the board, people just do not understand the responsibility that comes with it, the liability that comes with it, all that kind of stuff. It's not free money. It comes with a lot of strings attached, and that governance issue and being transparent to your investors and understanding where you need the money, where you don't need the money, those are important things. And that's really going to be the foundation on which they're able to build and scale these businesses. If investors like me feel like, well, I'm just going to lose my money, and guess this shareholder agreement has It might have all the language, but I can never get my money back out because the law is not there or whatever. Why would I come? I'll tell all my friends also, don't go to India because if things go great, it'll go great. But if it goes bad, write off that money.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
So that governance is very important.
So that's fine from a perspective of what an investor should be looking for.
Right.
What does a entrepreneur look for? What does an investor look for? What are you looking for from an entrepreneur?
Yeah, I think so. The key things that we're looking for is guys that are working on innovative solutions or technology solutions, not just for the Indian market, but for the global market. You know, people have to look at sort of globally what are the new trends, where things are going on. Okay, so e-commerce has been blown out of proportion. Oh, everybody knows it, it's big, this and this. I'm looking at data and analytics as sort of the next sort of trend. What is going on with data? How are those things going to be able to build some new businesses? And then also on the social side, we're collecting all this data. We have this big social footprint across all these different entities and tools and stuff like that we use. So what can be done with that data to improve people's lives? You know, India still has that bottom 500 million. Well, what can you do with that stuff? So newer business models that are powered by technology, I think those are the different things that I'm looking at. But specifically, you know, I got an investment coming up in a company that's building a lot of cool LTE 4G solutions. So that is for a global market, not just Indian market. So those are the kind of things that excite me, which I'm looking at. And that's what entrepreneurs in India, if you're starting a new business, figure out a problem that exists. Just don't do something for the sake of doing it, that it's cool or it's a new trend. Figure out a problem, a pain point that exists, and go after that pain point and come up with good, you know, you have to do the best possible solution that there can be in the world out there for this one. So.
Very insightful, insightful. And that brings me to the last question, Navneet. Where do you come from and where are you going? You know, what's your history?
Okay, so I actually was born in India, grew up in near Chandigarh, and went to US when I was fairly young. Went to Virginia Tech for my undergraduate in US.
The Virginia Tech?
Yes, the Virginia Tech, right? So I went to school there and then just got into startups. My only corporate job to date has been with a company called Nortel Networks, where I lasted only about 6 months after school and realized that I did not want to spend the rest of my
role
life.
model.
I did not want to spend the rest of my life sitting in a cubicle writing some code that, you know, just didn't mean anything to anybody. And so I just kind of took my own path and one thing after another. So been done a lot of startups, and one of the big successes that I had was back in 2006, where a company I had created, co-founded with a few other guys called Care Fusion, was acquired by Cardinal Health in US. It was in the healthcare IT segment, in mobility and healthcare IT in hospitals in US. And it really solved a problem. It made sure that you as a patient got the right medication at the right time. That was very, very important. Absolutely. It saved lives. And so, you know, so you have to have a real pain point that has to be solved with an innovation. And so we did that, and then I, you know, sort of had
That was the first pile you made.
Well, that was the second one. And so then, since then, I've had one other exit, and then decided to come to India and set up this venture capital fund. And you know, it's been an interesting journey. Not all great, but good and bad, everything. But it's been a learning experience. You know, I think I understand this venture capital game a lot better now than I did 2 years ago. That's for sure. So
wonderful. And you know, the last question really, I couldn't resist this because you mentioned this earlier. How has it been being a venture capitalist without, you know, sort of having the experience of being in finance or past experience of being a venture? You mentioned that was an interesting experience.
Yeah, I think I came in with an entrepreneur's hat on, and which was not necessarily the most was the thing to do. I should have thought probably more as an investor, even though I had lots of angel investments out there. But when I came in, started investing, an entrepreneur thinks everything can be possible, right? You're an optimist at heart. As an investor, you can't look at that business from that perspective. You have to be skeptical inherently.
Absolutely.
That this isn't going to work, and prove to me that this will work. And so you have to get away from the confirmation bias, which is once you like the guy, all the data, all the due diligence just proves that you made the right decision.
It's cool.
It's cool, right? So that has been the learning. to say that, you know what, if other people have said it's not going to work, it probably isn't going to work. And there's that 1 in 10 guy that might make it work.
Fantastic.
So that's been the learning.
Brilliant insight. Thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
And may you have the $1 billion exit.
Thank you.
Thanks a ton.